If you're Irish, get out of the parlour because there's 10 Africans waiting to get in. So you get out, let them in. What's going on? I want to tell you what's going on in Ireland. Ireland is earmarked for destruction and it's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years. I need you to watch the Templar report. I want to hear your comments after the video because this is serious and there is only a few years to turn the situation around if it can be. I'll see you in the Templar report. Hello again, Jim Dowson here, guest presenter with the Templar Report. What do I want to talk to you today? Ireland. Need to talk about Ireland. What's going on in Ireland? And I know many people in America trace their ancestors back to the Emerald Isle, but it's the same also in the mainland GB, Great Britain. It's about 20% of the entire population from Irish stock. So Ireland's very important, and the same with Canadians. Not so much in Canada apart from Newfoundland, but a lot of Irish up there, a lot of Irish in Australia, New Zealand, all over the world. So this concerns everybody. And it's only a wee nation. It's less than 5 million people. It's about 4.5 million people in the south, a couple of million in the north. But we're going to be talking today primarily about the south, the Republic of Ireland, which broke away from Britain, 100 years ago, and what's happened there. One of the most monocultures in Europe left. There was no real industrial revolution, so there wasn't many people come in. A couple hundred years ago, it's been Irish since whenever. But in the last 20 years, certainly in the last 10, you won't believe what's happened to Ireland. You just won't believe it. It's been utterly flooded with foreigners. Completely flooded with foreigners. It's incredible. The government say there's 500,000 foreigners there, but I want you to just pay attention over the next 10-15 minutes and I'll explain to you exactly what's going on. So I want you to have a look at this video here. Okay, what's going on there? Couple of thousand people wandering through a tiny wee Irish village. What county is this?
County Galway.
County Galway, which I'm sure a lot of Americans will know because every time I go to Galway it's full of Americans on holiday. But what's going on there, all these people? What are they doing marching through the town? Well, the government has decided to build a provision centre there. What's a provision centre? Yeah, well, it's like a big... What they do is they'll take over a big hotel, not in the town. Hotel. They don't build a camp. They take over a hotel, and they put these foreigners in them. Now we're not talking here about refugees or anything. These are just people that pitch up from all over the world. Now most of the people getting into these provision centres have actually failed their application to come and live in Ireland. They failed, so they should have been deported immediately, put in a plane, sent home. No. The Irish government then hire a local hotel and put these people in. And in this wee sleepy village, they want to put 100 or 200 of these illegal people in the hotel. All at their expense. These poor people are having to pay for this. This is a village of 1,300 souls. But the Irish people have to pay for putting up 200 illegal immigrants who have just pitched up in their country. And that's it. The government should have deported them. That's the law. They've failed their thing out. No. They'll try and stay there some other excuse. Because the government want them there. The government encouraging people to come to Ireland. Look, you don't wake up in West Africa in a mud hut and suddenly describe you want to go to some village that you don't even know the name of in County Galway. And then how did they get there? So somebody's doing this. We know who it is. It's Soros, it's Open Society and that. But he's doing it with the blessing and completely on the behest of the Irish government. And Ireland these days is run by a gay, part Indian called Varadkar. He was up in Belfast recently on the Gay Pride Parade. That's the Irish president. Gone are the days of De Valera and all that. A lot of people got a romantic notion of Ireland. You should come and see it now. I was in O'Connell Street last year, the main thoroughfare going through Dublin town. And I've got to say this, I was one of the few white faces on the whole street. Now, I don't do race politics, but give Ireland's for the Irish. And when you're walking along the main street in Ireland and there is no Irish people there. It's just West Africans and Syrians and Eritreans and Ethiopians. That's not right. It's just not right. It's not on. But that's what's going on. Now the government in Ireland, and remember, Ireland's a country that's suffered terrible economic downturn and bankrupted itself only 10 years ago, and they're having to pay back billions to the European Union. But now the government said they're going to spend 65 million on new direct provision centres to look after these illegal immigrants. So people in America are shouting and bawling about Trump putting folk in cages and that. Well, the Irish have obviously took this on board and decided to put their illegal aliens up in luxury hotels at the taxpayers' expense. It's an absolute outrage. And, you know, the Irish are beginning to get upset about it. The Reception and Integration Agency say the majority of occupants have had their asylum applications rejected. So why are they still in Ireland? Why are they still there? First plane out, away back to where you came from. And this is the problem. But people are saying, well, what difference does it make? The Irish have always been good hosts to people. Well, it's the same as us Brits. We're good hosts to people. But as long as you don't take it to the extreme levels, it's like inviting people round to your house for a party. It's wonderful. And you have 30, 40 strangers come round to your house for a party and it's great. But there's a certain time you say, right, it's not about the time you're away home. If these people stayed on the next morning and the next day and the next day and the next day, eating you out of house and home, asking you then for money, and then eventually say, maybe you could move out because we need more room. That's what's happening all across the West. But because Ireland is so small, it's very pronounced in Ireland. And because Ireland was so monocultural, it's even more pronounced. So the Irish don't know what's happening. And sadly, through the sort of Catholic Church's social justice mantra over the years, a lot of Irish have been disabled from having the natural reaction of saying, we're not having this, get out, and being like that, because they're taught, oh no, you must love everybody, you've got to be very tolerant, and blah, 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 blah. So they've been a wee bit disabled because of the upbringing and this social justice nonsense. So it's took about 10 years for the Irish to snap out of this and think, no, wait a minute here, we're not being good hosts, we've been taken advantage of, and the Irish good nature has been abused, and that's what's happening. So the Irish are now waking up. But listen, it could be too late. I want to give you some figures here. The government say, and the United Nations and people like that who collect the data say, there's 500,000 of these foreigners in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, in a country of 4.5 million. So, you know, what's that? That's 10%, maybe 12%. The recent figures I've seen, like today, said there's 20% of Ireland, these foreigners. So that's 900,000. So whether it's 500,000 or 900,000, you decide, who knows. And this is in a country of 4.5 million. So you can imagine that. It's a huge impact. And they've all come in recently. But here's the real figure. And I know this figure is true because I was down south a couple of days ago. And I parked my car at a school and looked in at this school in a town called Dundalk, which is a border town. And it used to be a very Republican town. And I looked in the school playground and at least half the school was African. In Dundalk, County Louth, half the school was African. And that's a fact. But here's a statistic that should worry anybody who's Irish or who regards or who holds Ireland in great regard. And I'm one of those. 33% of all the people in Ireland under 15 years of age are of non-Irish backgrounds. Let that sink in for a minute. At this moment in time, 33% of under 15-year-olds are non-Irish. So we're looking at 1.5 million people are foreigners, mainly Africans. And they're still flooding in at the rate of between 50 and 100,000 a year. Nobody really knows. It's at least 50,000, could be 100,000. And then put on top of that 30,000 Irish leave every year. That's almost the same as their birth rate, the indigenous Irish birth rate. So they're dead. They're dead in the water. And Ireland was always famous for its marvellous birth rate and producing thousands and thousands of offspring. And, you know, I come from a northern Protestant background, so we've been at war with these people for hundreds of years, and we were never really defeated militarily, but we've been totally defeated by the Irish birth rate. And now the Irish have just said, well, we don't care anymore. We're going to stop breeding. At the very same time, we're the new world order, whatever you want to call it, the UN, the corrupt, the Soroses of this world, whatever, have decided to flood Ireland with new people. You could not have picked a worse time to stop breeding Ireland. You couldn't have picked a worse time. So if you're a true son or daughter of Ireland, the most radical, revolutionary thing you can do is not pick up arms, because Irish are always running about picking up arms, fighting everybody. No, this war will be won in the bedroom. This war will be won in the maternity wards of Ireland. And the most revolutionary, radical action you can do if you're a true son or daughter of Ireland is to have 10 kids. It's the only way you stand a chance of survival. England's gone, Scotland's gone, France is gone, Germany's gone, Belgium's gone, Holland's gone, Sweden's gone, Norway's gone. They're all gone because they didn't breed. Hungary's gone, Poland's gone. They're all gone because they don't breed. Ireland's now going the same way. It's absolutely incredible. But I want to show you how some of the main politicians, and people watching this in America will be very shocked at this, some of the politicians who fought for Irish freedom, Brits out. Do you remember all that? Brits out, and everybody in America and Canada and Australia and New Zealand and England collecting money to support the IRA and support the revolutionary struggle against British imperialism to get Ireland for the Irish and the Brits out. Well, the mantra now is Brits out, but it's Africans in. Here is Gerry Adams, who was never in the IRA, and Sinn Féin leader, who has also never had a beard. Did you know that? He's denied point blank that he's ever sported a beard. Here he is.
Well, I just want to say that Sinn Féin totally fully endorses your campaign. And as an Eden people who have had to travel worldwide and have had to go through many of the difficulties that you're currently going through, we stand shoulder to shoulder with you.
All we are saying, give us a chance. So we can fix that government policy. All we are saying, give us a chance.
What do you make of that? This is a man who made his whole political career fighting the imperialist forces of Britain to remove all the British from the island of Ireland, which includes me in that because I'm from a different religion. I happen to go to a different church, but my bloodline is Scots. The Scots are an Irish tribe. Once ready me, painted in all the walls, Brits out. But on the same walls, there's these wonderful murals now painted by Sinn Féin and his cronies, welcoming your refugees. Refugees welcome. And here we have Gerry Adams with the Africans saying, I am totally with you, and Sinn Féin is totally with you in your support of getting Irish citizenship. How can this be? How can the man who was part of the IRA's revolutionary uprising against British imperialism to reclaim Ireland for the Irish, how can he do this? Because he was a fake, and you were duped. You were taken in by a very sophisticated con artist. He's an internationalist, Marxist. He's no more a good son of Irish Catholic ideology than Ronald MacDonald. He's not interested. He wants Brits out, but he's quite happy to be locked into the European Union. All the Sinn Féin are the EU fanatics. So they want rid of British imperialism. They've replaced it with European, which is German imperialism. They want rid of anybody who causes bother on Ireland of their own ilk. And they're quite happy to stand on the side of the road with the newcomers, with the illegal immigrants, with the Africans, with the Syrians and all that, and shout across the road to the poor Irish people who are saying, hey, what's going on here? Why are we getting taken over? Why are we being replaced? And why are you asking us to pay for our own destruction? And Gerry Adams' reply to that is, racist! Racist! Imperialist! He's not shouting at me when he says that. He's shouting at Irish Catholic nationalists, decent people who just want Ireland to be Ireland and for their sons and daughters to grow up in the Emerald Isle free and to enjoy the sacrifices that their fathers and grandfathers made in the struggles against the English domination and English rule. That's all they're asking for. They're not asking for anything else. But that's been robbed of them. It's been robbed of them by people like Gerry Adams. There's a woman in Ireland, she's quite famous, she used to be a big reporter. She's called Gemma O'Doherty. I never know what to say O'Doherty with a silent O'Doherty or O'Doherty. What is it? O'Doherty. So Gemma O'Doherty, very famous lady actually, you should Google her. She had her YouTube channel deleted because she's speaking out about all this stuff. YouTube deleted. Again, we're seeing the big tech censorship. But it's worse than that. Because I'll tell you this, Stephen Molyneux, a lot of people know Stephen Molyneux, he's a kind of YouTube vlogger kind of guy. Stephen Molyneux's video on the replacement of the Irish through immigration went viral in Ireland. Went viral, everybody's looking at it. My goodness. He's a very clever guy, Molyneux. Much better presenter than me. Much better educated. But I could fight him, I reckon. But he's a very clever guy. But he made this brilliant video of the replacement of the Irish through immigration, and it went viral. You won't believe this. That video has been blocked only in Ireland. You can watch it in England, you can watch it in Scotland, you can watch it in America, you can watch it in Australia. If you're in Ireland, you can't watch it. How could that happen? That is government level interference. That's the government telling YouTube this could cause trouble. Why? Because people are finding out the truth. Oh, scary, wary. Imagine that. People finding out the truth could be upset. So it shows you this is a nasty, dark arts plan to destroy the Irish and make sure nobody manages to blow the whistle before their objective is completed. And it's not long now to go before it is completed. But they've blocked a video only in Ireland telling the Irish the truth. That's what's going on. I mean, this is something that you would imagine in Soviet Russia or under maybe the Nazi regime or something like that. It's quite incredible. So if they're hiding that from the Irish people, what else are they hiding? But that's what happened there. And really outrageous. I want to show you, there's a place in Ireland called Wicklow. Wicklow's just round about the Dublin area. It's a very posh area. There's all English blood still there. It's quite a well-to-do area. There's no radicals come from there, really. Well, there was. Some United Irishmen came from there, but they were posh as well. Well, the one who came from Wicklow. But this is what's going on here. This is Wicklow, where the middle class live, where the people who commute into the city, the lawyers, the doctors, the professional classes live in Wicklow. Very respectable. Never raised their voice. But look what's happened here with them.
Taxpayers in this country are straight to the fucking floor with this government, and the bloody disgrace what's happening in this country. They've got 10,000 homeless on the streets, and they keep bringing in more and more people. Where the hell are we all going to go when we can't house our own people?
I spent 10 years working in the Middle East, alright? Trying to help people out there. You've no idea what's going on.
I'm talking as a mother, as a retailer who's got about 6 weeks left in her business. So I will not open the doors of 2019 with this coming. And I'm talking as a community development worker that left frontline crisis, homeless services, 16 years in Dublin when this influx came in, because no one has any idea of the shit that is about to hit the fan.
Even the middle class are up my arms. They don't like it. They don't like it at all. Because they're fed up that every time they raise their voice in Ireland, just to politely ask, excuse me, would you mind consulting the people of Ireland and asking us, do we want 1.5 million foreigners in a country, which is only 4.5 million souls anyway? You're replacing us. We know what you're doing. Would you mind asking us? Can we have a referendum? Can we have a vote?
They did.
I did it.
Referendum in 2000.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, the Irish rejected all this. But the Irish have had several referendums regarding Europe, and every time the Irish vote no, they just have another referendum. The government say no, like Britain at the moment with Brexit. They say no. The Irish, the people. What's the results? The people say no. Right. Now we won't have that. We'll have another referendum next year. And they've done this umpteen times in Ireland. And why the Irish have accepted it, I'll never know. But what the European Union has done is turned all the Irish into little Englanders, where all they're interested in now is their mortgage, their little terraced house, their 2-car families, their index-linked pension, and their holiday to Benidorm every year. Or, well, the middle class don't go to Benidorm, you know what I mean? Where do they go to? Some of these islands or something like that. Yeah, they go someplace. But that's all they're interested in. So the Irish now have been robbed of their Celtic, Gaelic roots, and they're just wee clones of the Germans or wee clones of the English, where they just sit in pubs now, and instead of sinking the black stuff, they're sitting in cafes and coffee bars and say, oh, what's the growth in your pension? Oh, well, I'm up 1.5%. Oh, that's marvellous. I'll be able to retire at 56. That's the typical Irishman now. He's not standing at the bar drinking the black stuff and cursing the English. No, he's sitting there with a wee calculator, calculating his index like pension, calculating his repayment mortgage options. And all the time, Africans are flooding into his country and he couldn't give a hoot. Well, I'm telling you, Ireland, you need to wake up. And if you don't wake up, you deserve everything that's coming to you. A country is only a country if the people in that country are man enough to stand up and be prepared to make a stand to grasp their country back. And if somebody else comes in and takes your country away from you, they deserve it. And you don't. So that's what's happening. Put down your insurance policies, your index-linked pensions, your fancy superannuated work-related pension schemes and all the other garbage that the EU have managed to convince you is really important, and get back to what's really important. Go outside right now and grab a handful of that dirt. In that dirt lies the DNA of your ancestors, the people who died repelling the Vikings, the people who died defending it from invasion upon invasion, the people even recently, your grandfather's generation, his blood's in that soil, who fought at the GPO, who fought the Black and Tans. And what are you doing now? You're building a gazebo on top of that soil. That's it, that's all it's worth to you, a gazebo. And that's the problem. It's the middle class of Ireland that's let the side down. The working class are out in the streets. We've seen them here on, how do you pronounce it? Uachtarard. People on the street complaining about this. These are the working class people, the poorer people. The middle class people are sitting on their backsides, apart from some places like we've seen there. But most middle class people, and those are the people with the money, the power and the connections, all you're interested in is your patio extension. How's that going to look in 30, 40 years when you're the only Irish person in your neighbourhood? Everybody else is from the Congo. You'll have a family living in your patio extension. And they won't have a mick before their name. I can tell you that. Well, I could go on all day about this because it really gets me very, very angry. You know, and let's remember this. There's over 13,000 homeless people in Ireland. Irish people homeless, living on the streets. And Ireland's not a very warm country. If you live in LA, I've seen a lot of homeless in LA. It's not so hard to be homeless in LA. It's warm, it's dry. Ireland, it's been raining here for what? I'm in Ireland right now. It's been raining here for about 4 days. Constant. I couldn't even hear the TV the other night. The rain was that heavy on the roof. I thought it was a hurricane. It was rain. So if you're homeless in Ireland, it's tough, and people die. People die on the streets of Ireland. Yet we're putting these so-called immigrants, but they're illegal immigrants, we're putting them in the best hotels in the county. This is a disgrace. This is absolutely disgraceful. And it should stop, and it needs to stop. And of course, some of the Irish have reacted in some of these so-called these provisions, direct provision centres. Some of them have been burnt to the ground by some very angry Irish people. Now, you know, I'm Christian, and, you know, the old wishy-washy Christians will tell you, oh, violence never works, you must condemn it, pen is mightier than the sword. Listen, there's never an army conquered enemy territory with one of these. Never. It's all the garbage, don't listen to these people. So people have asked it, but I'll do it before anybody comes on and asks us later. Will I condemn the people who are reacting like that? No, I will not. I'll say it again. I will not condemn the people who are so frustrated to see their country and their homeland being stolen from them that react perhaps in a way that is not helpful. No. Because unless the government listen to the people and say, okay, we're going to stop doing this. We're going to stop putting hundreds of thousands of people into the country every year. We're going to stop robbing you of your birthright. We're going to stop taxing you to death to pay for these people staying in nice hotels. Until the government stop all that, it is absolutely natural for some people, especially young people, hotheads, to take the law into their own hands and cut loose and go mad. And, you know, they've not killed these people, they've not hurt anybody, they've burnt these places down when there's nobody in them. So let's be clear on that. So this is property damage. And a revolutionary act normally involves property damage. Would I do it? No. Would I condemn those who have done it? No, I will not. No, I will not, because they've been forced into a corner and their frustration now is bubbling over. And if the government don't get a grip of this will get much worse. The Irish will get a revolutionary streak in them. So I'd say keep pushing the Irish and see what happens. But, you know, to round up everything I've said, I want to just get back to a human level. While thousands of these people who have, the invaders, let's call them what they are, invaders, have come into Ireland illegally and are being housed in luxury hotels at the taxpayers' expense, have a look at what happens to the Irish people who fall in hard times, who cannot maybe meet the demands of the banks, who have bled them dry like the blood-sucking scumbags that they are. Look what happens to them.
Private property. You're on private property. I'm not on any private property. Okay? Do your job. He will be responsible. He will be responsible. Give me your hand. That's one of your own. That's one of your fucking own. That's a disgrace. You should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. No, take it easy. Get off.
Can you believe that? That is Irish people, and one of those men is an ex-police officer. Not a scumbag, not a druggie, not somebody who's gambled his money away. A police officer of the Free State, part of the Gardaí Síochána, the guards of the people. They take an oath to guard the Irish people. And there he is in his old age, his infirmity, with his wife or his sister, whoever it was, being dragged out the house by bully boys, not by police, by hired thugs, by the face. They're grabbing these old people by the face and throwing them in the ground. And that's what the Irish authorities, the Irish establishment, the Irish banks and the Irish government are doing to Irish people, while they're taking these people who sneak into the country illegally and put them up in a luxury hotel and make this old man and his sister pay for it while they're being thrown in the street. Well, it's not good enough. And this is the behaviour that leads to revolution. And if the Irish ever do rise up against these blood-sucking parasite wretches that now occupy the corridors of power in Ireland, I can assure you there'll be a wee man for the north on the first bus down there, and there'll be a few other boys with me, I can tell you that, because we will stand with the Irish in this point. This is an island. There's nowhere else to go. We're in the middle of the bloody Atlantic. There's nowhere else. There's 2,000 miles of sea. So if these invaders push us off our island, where do we go? Where do we go? Tell me, where do we go? Can we get in a boat and go to Cameroon or West Africa and invade their country? No, that would never be allowed. We'd be shot out of the water by the UN. So this is the last stand. This is Ireland's last stand. And I don't care if you're orange, green, purple with pink spots. It makes no difference. You make a stand for Ireland. We stand together or we'll die together. We either stand or we perish together. That's all from me in the Templar Report. And remember, stick close to God and you won't go far wrong. Thank you. I'll see you again.
The threat is real, and we are on the front line. In a world of misinformation and attacks from the left and mainstream media, censorship, deplatforming, it is time to call out the fake news and bring you the truth. We are the Knights Templar. Visit our website and join today. We are the Resistance. Deus Vult.